Sean Mize here, and in today's coaching call, we're going to do things a little bit differently than we normally do. And rather than me teach on a kind of a predetermined topic that obviously I'm hoping half of you will get value out of, and for those of you that don't, the idea is that next week I'll teach on something that is relevant for your business. And obviously, I try to make an effort that everything I teach it in such a way that anybody can afford. It is generally teaching things that I use in my business. So I guess I've got the opinion that if I'm using it in my business and you're here, if you try it out, it might be something that's able to help you out. But we're going to do things a little bit differently today, and I want to open the call to take questions and do individual coaching. I can take a look at your website. I can help you with web copy. I can answer questions for you, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to take, I believe, is this Robert?
Yes, Sean, it is.
Yes. Hello, Robert. What's your question? What can I coach you on today?
I'd like to ask you about YouTube. Now, a couple of months ago, you did a course on YouTube, which I took part in, but I didn't get really fully into it. And I think that it's somewhat petered out, I think, possibly. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are now about using YouTube. Was it as successful as you expected?
So here's the thing about YouTube is I believe it's very, very, very powerful, and it's been powerful for me in the past. Some of my highest quality leads have come from YouTube. So I believe very, very strongly in YouTube. I'll tell you personally, my challenge personally with YouTube, and let me say this before I get into what my challenge is. I believe that each of us, there's a zillion places online to be able to find the people who need what you have. So the central premise in your business is that you have a solution to a problem in the marketplace that either nobody else has or it's not being solved very well. So you are unique in that you have a unique solution that changes lives in some certain way. And in theory, there's hundreds of thousands, or maybe in your case, there's millions of people who need the solution that you offer. So the only question is, where are these folks hanging out online? And if there's a basket of 1 million people looking for something, they're probably in 1,000 different places online. And so that means you could literally choose one of 1,000 different places, or if it was one of the smaller places, you could literally choose a handful of those 1,000 places. Just get involved in that particular place and begin to communicate and bring people to your website. So there's no right or wrong across the board. There's what works for you. And I'll tell you, what works for me is, and just give you a little bit of background, I do a lot of my work before the sun comes up and after the sun goes down. I do a lot of my work when the rest of the household is asleep. And I enjoy working that way. It allows me to be it allows me to be distraction-free, worry-free, as long as everybody's breathing. I'm just able to tunnel vision focus. And I can get more done in 2 hours of tunnel vision focus than I can in 40 hours of being distracted by good distractions, bad distractions. It doesn't make a difference. Because of that, I do a lot of my work when the rest of the world is asleep. I don't get very many emails when most of the world is asleep. I don't get texts when the rest of the world is asleep. I don't have to worry about any of those distractions. Now, the drawback to that is it's really hard to record video with my booming voice when the rest of the world is asleep. I wake everybody up. And so I've used video in the past. I have video that works really well. But for me, the challenge with video is making a daily commitment to doing a video. So for me, it's really easy to do a daily commitment to writing. I mean, yesterday I probably wrote 40 or 50 or 100 posts and emails. It's easy for me to do. I can do that when I'm distracted. I can do that in 5-minute bits. I can do that when the world is sleeping. And so although YouTube is highly profitable, for me personally, it's difficult for me to try to scale that out because for me personally, it's hard to commit to a daily basis. I think that we have to recognize that there's three ways primarily that folks consume information online and use it to be a gateway to buying from you. They either read online, they listen online, so for example, podcasts or like what we're doing right now, or they watch videos. You can choose any one of those methods to break through to folks. Now, you can use all three if you want, but what I've discovered being a solopreneur is that it's hard to do all three without a supporting staff to help make that happen. It's a full-time job just to write as much as you need to write. It's a full-time job to record as much as you need to record. And it's a full-time job to do video as much as you need to do video if that's going to be the medium. Because here's the thing. The folks that are attracted to print are different than the folks that listen to podcasts, are different than the folks that watch videos. Now, you may say, well, I spend a third of my time exactly watching videos, a third of my time listening to podcasts, and a third of my time writing. And I'd say, okay, well, kudos to you, but you're in like 1% mark. And if you want to reach the bulk of the market out there, it's probably not people that are doing all three. Folks generally tend to have a primary method that they consume. So what that means is that if you do all of your marketing in writing, you're going to attract those people who like to read. If you do most of your marketing as a podcast, you're going to attract people who like to listen to podcasts while they're driving to work. If you like to do your marketing in video, you're going to attract people who put their headphones on and watch and listen to video. Now, what happens is there's not a whole lot of crossover, which means that if you build out print and audio, meaning podcasts and MP3s, and you do video, you're building three audiences. Now, there's nothing wrong with building three audiences, but if there's millions of people who can learn from you, and you split your focus into three audiences to try to reach everybody, probably what's going to happen is you're not going to do as good of a job. So the next question then a lot of times folks will ask, Robert, is, well, what's best? Is print best? Is audio best? Is video best? Here's the thing. It doesn't matter. Print is best for people who like to learn by reading. Audio is best for people who like to learn via podcast. Video is best for people who like to learn by watching videos. So you say, well, what's best for me? Well, you could say, well, do I want to help out the readers, or do I want to help out the podcasters, or do I want to help out the video people? Now, that's where it gets tough, because how can you decipher? How can you decipher who's hurting the most? I don't think that you can. I think that people that read are people who like to read. I think that people that listen to podcasts are probably people, this is my opinion, they're people that like to multitask a little bit, so they like to be able to listen with one ear and then drive or text or whatever else they do with their time, and so they can just listen. And then people that are video-oriented, they're visual, they want to see it, and they're willing to commit and listen and all of that good stuff. But I don't think that that has anything to do with their needs, because each one of us learn differently. So those of us that learn better reading, learn better listening, or learn better with kind of a combination, which is video, it doesn't make any difference with the need. So then I think we take a step back and we say, what do you like to do? What do you like to do? Do you like to type? Or do you like to just record with no video? Or do you like having the whole video production thing? I believe that once you're able to make that decision, Robert, then you can make a decision on mastering wherever it is that you're going to meet people where they were. You see, that's one of the reasons I was able to build up 25,000 plus articles at eZine Articles my first few years in the business, and that became the foundation of my business. Now, it was a bit of a perfect storm because it was kind of during the time period before eZine Articles got caught in the trap of accepting too many duplicate articles, and so the search engines began to turn away. There's nothing wrong with article marketing today at all, as long as you article market on a website and in such a way that you're not doing a whole bunch of spammy content marketing kinds of things, and that the website has something in place to prevent that happening. But eZine Articles was not able to. They were the best of all the article marketing sectors out there. They were the very best, and they were able to hang for the longest, and they're still hanging. You know, they still continue to get good traffic. Why was writing able to be so prolific for me when I got started in this business? You see, if you think about this, Robert, 11 years ago, bandwidth was limited. You know, now I have unlimited bandwidth. I mean, on my data plan, I can do unlimited posting. I can watch unlimited anything. But back then, most of us had accounts that had very small bandwidth. Video was very difficult to do. And so writing was like the perfect storm. You know, I could type out 20 articles in the morning. When I first got started, I didn't have internet at the house. I'd go down to the library, and then in an hour or two, I'd upload all of those articles to like 80 article directories. So it was a system that really worked really, really well for me. So typing, blogging, articles, answering questions, email, all of that works really, really well for me personally, because I can do it in snippets of time. I can do small pieces of it. I can, and also over the course of time, I've gotten to where I type faster so I can create more content in that way. So, Robert, I think that for you, you have to make a decision. I think YouTube is awesome. It's awesome. But you've got to decide, do you have it in you to spend a couple hours a day on YouTube? If you don't, then I think that you've got to think about podcasts. But the truth of the matter is, I think podcasts are the same way. I think if you're going to do a good job with podcasts, you're going to dig in and you probably spend a couple hours a day on it. Just like when I got started, I spent 8 hours a day on the writing project. I was committed to making it into a full-time business, and I don't believe that if I'd have put a part-time effort into it, it would have become a full-time business. And if it had never become a full-time business, then I would have had to take full-time offline work again. And I don't know that the online business ever would have become a full-time business. And I know a lot of folks start very, very part-time, and they're able to grow and grow and grow, and that works great in theory. And we see some people that do that. I don't know how that would have worked out for me. It's hard to rewrite the past. Obviously, that was my foundation. I do a lot of different things now to drive traffic because, you know, I've really learned this idea of going where people are searching. I know that's more of an answer than you wanted, Robert, but I really want to give you the background so that you can make the right decision for you so that 6 months from now you're not second guessing.
Yes,
I'm going to give you
thank you very much, Sean. That's really interesting. I appreciate your answer.
But you're welcome. Now I want to give you a 1-minute complete course in YouTube. A 1-minute complete course in YouTube. So I've probably got 10 hours of training on YouTube. There's plenty of other folks out there that you can buy a 10-hour training course on YouTube, and you can learn all the ins and outs.
Okay.
The ins and outs change over time, though. Here's what I've discovered with anything that has to do with really changing people's lives, and changing people's lives is where the profit comes from. And I've also discovered that this works really well with Google because, contrary to popular opinion, Google's not out to get you. They're simply making every attempt that they can to protect themselves from the spammers that are out to get better listings than you by working hard. Google has your best interests in mind. But if you do things that are not natural, then they're going to think that you are a spammer, and then they don't reward you. My experience with Google, and of course, Google infiltrates almost everything that we do. And by the way, I don't focus on Google. I'm telling you that this will work with Google. It works with YouTube. It works with anything that you do.